putting up pictures of landing pages. And so then they reached out to me and said, hey, would you like a funnel? And I went, well, show me the rest. And they're like, what do you mean the rest? That is the funnel. I'm like, no, dude, that's a landing page. Where's the funnel? You don't understand funnels. And I'm like, okay, I've been doing this a while. I think I understand funnels.
Welcome back to another installment of the Perspective Podcast. My name is Devin. This is my co-host Mitch Harley. And today we have on awesome Rob. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Awesome. It's great to be here, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm excited. How we have met is very unique, just in terms of the changing climate of business and some of the things that we want to touch on today. It was the reason I reached out to you and invited you on today was because we're friends on social networks, a number of different ones, but you made a post about your funnel, or sorry, your landing page is not your funnel. And I made the comment that this is a really great topic to unpack, because just having that in just a post by itself is almost an injustice. There's just so much in that topic or in that world that I think a lot of business owners just need a little bit of guidance and help on. So I think that'd be a really great place to kind of kick off the conversation. We were talking just off camera there about the nature of social media and how we connect and the global nature of business now. And I think those are all really, really great topics that we can touch on today, Rob. But let's start with that post. What was behind that? What inspired you to share that with your peers?
It's a great question. And ironically, a lot of my posts, especially when I go on a rant like that, is usually a reaction to something. And in this case, it was somebody posting in a group. And they said, we build funnels. And they started putting up pictures of landing pages. And so then they reached out to me and said, hey, would you like a funnel? And I went, well, show me the rest. And they're like, what do you mean the rest? That is the funnel. I'm like, no, dude, that's a landing page. Where's the funnel? Like, you don't understand funnels. And I'm like, okay, I've been doing this a while. I think I understand funnels. So they said, well, what's a funnel? I said, a funnel actually takes you on a journey where you go from a suspect to a prospect, to a marketing qualified lead, to a sales qualified lead, then into a sales mechanism. And the whole goal at each point is you're converting them in some way. So for instance, like a suspect is, there's somebody on social media. A prospect is somebody who's liked your post or commented on your post. They're interested in what you're saying. A marketing qualified lead is when they put up their hand and say, I'd like to know more about that. Now, a sales qualified lead is they're saying, I like that. I want that. Can I talk to a salesperson? Then obviously you go into your sales mechanism, which could be a sales call. It could be a webinar, it could be a seminar, it could be something from stage, whatever your sales format is. But the problem with a lot of people is, especially guys that are saying, hey, we get you fully qualified leads. No, they get you marketing qualified leads that are saying, I'd like to hear more. You get on a call with them. Now you got to start right at the beginning because they're not sales qualified yet. They don't even know what you do. And that's a big problem with this industry. So when it goes back to the landing page, that's just a guy saying, I'm interested in getting more information. That's all it is. Whereas a funnel actually takes them through, educates them, nurtures them, pre-converts them to where they're saying, hey, I want to talk to a salesperson. This is the ideal solution for me. And so that's, I tend to go on rants. I do at times. It's kind of like the thinking of the guy from the late night TV show. I don't want to go on a rant here, but I'm going to. And a lot of it is that's how they were trained. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in this industry right now that are training people that maybe shouldn't be training people.
Well, that's really interesting. I fell into the world of funnels and online marketing and all that because of the sphere of Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels and his gravity. He is an incredible human being, both personally and when it comes to his business. And one of the things that he talks a lot about is, well, the product that he wanted to sell was ClickFunnels. It's the website building software, so software as a service. And then in order to do that, what he talked about and what I remember most was, well, you got to teach people how they are going to benefit from the thing that they're going to use. And so he created this entire industry of funnel hackers, people who could build these funnels. But arguably, and I think maybe you and I are on the same page here, people that are entering that space are coming from, that bird's eye view perspective and only see so deep into it. And then, think that they're an expert and now can, as you say, they're going and selling landing pages and disguising them as funnels. What's the danger in that?
So I think the danger is, I think there's a couple of different aspects to the danger. The one is thinking you're actually getting a real funnel that's going to convert into sales appointments when it really isn't. And the other is just so many people, like if you're a real funnel builder and you spend time with people, like when we build a funnel, it's a 65-hour course. We don't say, give us $500 and we'll build you a landing page. It's a 65-hour course where we go through, who is your avatar? Where do we find them? Are you sure that's really your avatar? What's the biggest problem they need to solve? How are you solving it for them? What are the results you've produced? And people are like, damn, this is intense. Yeah, it is. It's very intense. And they're going, but this guy will build me a funnel for $500. Good luck with that.
Yeah. So, this is where I see, I don't want to say generational. I don't think that's the right word, but this culture that's been created of instant gratification. And I went on this kind of rant with Devin the other day regarding marketing is never, from my perspective, never a short game. There's no such thing as a Black Friday deal with everybody. Maybe Amazon, maybe Walmart can do that. And they put out a flyer and a week later, their ROI shows up with it. But for the average business, a marketing decision takes time. And what I'm seeing now is people build a landing page and say, hey, we can get you a funnel, because they skipped everything you just talked about. They skipped. They said, we want to take people that see you on social media right to a landing page, and from there sell. They want to do it a 3-step process, because that is selling an instant gratification, an instant ROI, and a quick turnaround. And what you're explaining is a proper vehicle to qualify people to not waste your time, so that you can spend time on people that actually want your services. Am I off base on this? Because this is what I'm seeing on a major scale.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Exactly what you're saying. And, even if you go back to say a Russell, so Russell and I both trained with somebody by the name of Joel Bauer. And when you train with Joel, it's like 8 days, but these are like 18-hour days. It's intense. And then, you finish this program, you understand how to market, how do you speak to people, how to do all that. But then, so Russell comes out with his program, people take it and they go, okay, I can cut that out. I can cut this out. I can cut that out. And it's like, no, man, you got to do it as it's designed. But then it goes on to the next level, and they're only teaching what the parts they cut out. Then it goes to the next level. Now you got guys all over the world going, yeah, this is a funnel. And you're like, no, that's not a funnel. So the fundamentals of marketing are completely missing. They've been stepped over in that instant gratification, get me a page that converts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at most of these pages, you'll look at them and go, dude, those don't convert. Like, I have zero desire to click that button and sign up for your program.
They're basically like an active flyer, right? Like these landing pages, they might as well just be a post on social media, because there's nothing really more, there's no substance to them other than personally, this is why I team up with Devin. I don't know how to make a landing page. I don't know the first thing about it. I know what I want, but I don't know how to build it. It's like I go buy a car because I don't know how to build one. So I go to a marketing guy, and I think that that's what's being misrepresented when it's being sold, because these guys that do know how to build a landing page turn around and go, okay, we can label this a million ways to Sunday to a guy like me, because he doesn't actually know. He just has heard the terms, and that's what we're going to do. And not that all marketers are malicious. I just think a lot of them are. So they're building these landing pages and disguising them as your answer to customer acquisition.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's always malicious. I mean, some are. I've worked in the industry a long time. Some of them are very malicious. I think there's a lot of ignorance out there, and that's the fact that they were just never trained properly. I'll give you an example, like, Frank Kern, who was part of the syndicate. That might predate you guys. A long time ago in internet marketing.
I know Frank Kern, yeah.
Okay, you know Frank. So
I've been around long enough to know that much, at least.
Okay, all right, cool. So Frank did these super long sales pages. They like pages and pages, and he taught lots of people how to do this. And what he realized after a few years is that it just didn't work. Nobody was going to spend all the time reading all that with so many other people sending out things like that. So he said, boom, he created like a 1-page landing page. And he goes, this converts way better than anything I've ever done before. The problem is so many people had paid for his old course. They were still creating. You still see them today for landing pages. And, like the first thing we say is, and people, come to us and say, well, we want a long form landing page. And I'll say, well, let me show you the stats and let's see how far down your page they actually read. Nobody gets past page 2. Or they immediately scroll right to the bottom and go, what's the cost?
Where's the button? Where's the pricing?
Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
Nobody reads the page. And we can show that with the stats where we monitor websites. And they'll still go, but we want a long form sales page. No, you really don't.
Well, this is interesting. What I'm hearing here kind of coming out of this is just a really long game of telephone. It started with a couple of people who really hit it out of the park with a very scientific strategy, and then it gets passed on and diluted a little bit and passed on and diluted a little more. And by the time it reaches, the guys who are just building these landing pages, you're missing all of those other pieces that were essential to making this first strategy work well. Does that sound right to you?
That's exactly it. I was thinking about that because we used to play that game at camp.
Yeah.
You go around the circle and you repeat a message, and by the time you get to the end, it's nowhere near the original message.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going on. So, like when I go back and we train with Joel, even I train directly with Joel, I'll implement something. It doesn't quite work, and he'll look at it and go, you idiot, that's not what I told you.
I find that is very similar to in the world of marketing, when people advertise that they're in marketing and you look at what they do, and really they just manage social media management. And I think that term social media management is one of those other things, just like we talked about, the landing page is misrepresented. I think that term social media management makes you a marketer. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It makes you able to know where to click on the buttons of social media. It knows how to post, and it makes you, maybe you're an organized person where you can schedule things and put out regular content. That's social media management. That's not marketing. It's a form of marketing and it's part of marketing. But for somebody to have a marketing company and really all they do is social media management, and even companies that are looking, I'm always looking at like what jobs are coming out and going through and what companies are looking for. And it's incredible. I told Devin this, there was one company that looked specifically and they wanted a marketing person. So I looked into it, and what they wanted was social media management, and they wanted them to have a bachelor's degree in marketing, and they wanted to pay them $50,000. And I was like, that, I wish I'd screenshotted it, because that explains the whole misconception of everything we're talking about here. You think that somebody with a bachelor's degree or any sort of degree in marketing only wants to sit there and load content on 5 platforms. And you think that they're only worth $50,000 a year, which is, let's call it an entry-level salary, very entry-level. And you think that's marketing. Where did you learn that that's marketing? Where did you come up with that? And I think that that's a big struggle. And what we're seeing with the funnels, landing pages, social media marketing, that this is really encompassing. Where did this start? Who said that marketing is social media management?
Yeah, it's a good point. And I actually know the answer, but I do see that all the time. Similar to guys that'll say, I get messages all the time on LinkedIn and Facebook, which is my primary platforms. And they'll say, well, I'm a marketing expert. Like, oh, how long you been marketing? 3 years. How about you? I'm like, 35. and yeah, it's like, back when I started marketing, there was no social media.
Right.
There was a web actually that didn't even exist back then when I first started. So we had to learn the hard way. Okay, how do you connect with people? How do you talk to people? How do you influence people in a good way? Because it can be done very deviously and douchey, but in a good way. But nowadays, yeah, it's like, well, yeah, no, you got to be on TikTok. You got to be on Instagram. Why aren't you on TikTok? And I had somebody ask me that the other day. They're like, why aren't you on TikTok? I said, dude, I'm like 54 years old. Why would I be on TikTok? And they're like, do you know how many people are on TikTok? No, but I know how many people are on LinkedIn, and I can reach every single one of them with a single message because that's my market.
That's really cool, actually. And I think this is a perfect segue. It's one thing to be able to press the buttons, right? To be able to go onto the Facebook ads managing platform and, click the buttons. We're going to select this demographic of people who are interested in this, topic. And we're going to put this piece of media in front of them or content. And, we're going to send them to this landing page. And that's one part of it. And clicking the buttons, especially in some of this more advanced type of tools, is an important thing. You do need to understand, at least on a surface level, how that operates, but that's only a small part of the equation. And this harkens back to the thing that we were talking about just off camera there before the interview. It's not about trying to push these buttons so that you get in front of people and hope and pray and cross your fingers that something's going to connect. As you put it, it's in the name. Social media. Do you care to speak to that a little bit, Rob?
Yeah, actually, and I'll tell the story and give props out to I completely lost his name, and I just mentioned it earlier.
Was that Joel?
No. Oh, sorry, it'll come to me, and I'll mention him, give him props. But Perry Belcher. So I'm talking to Perry, and I said, and he's really good at social media, TikTok, or not TikTok. He didn't even exist back then, but Twitter. And I said, dude, what is the secret to social media? Like, you're killing it. And he goes, Rob, the secret's right in the name. Social media. Be social. You're going to a party. When you go to a party, you walk around, you have a drink, you connect to people, you get to know them. It's very social. You don't just walk in and start going, hey, I'm in real estate. Would you like my house? and I've been to those networking events. Believe me, I've been to those. But it's like, get to know people, understand. Like a lot of times when I reach out, people will say, well, what are you trying to sell me? I'm not trying to sell you anything yet. I want to find out about you. Do I have something that can help you? Do you have something that can help me? Do we have something that can help each other? And I'm way more for creating a JV than people saying, well, you're my competition. Just because we do it through marketing doesn't mean I'm your competition. We might do completely different marketing. Like I know you guys do podcasts. I don't do podcasts. So if I've got a group of students that said, hey, how do we get some exposure? I said, well, I know some guys who do podcasts. I want to connect you to them and maybe you can be on their show. And they're like, oh my God, that would be amazing. And you guys are like, thanks for feeding me all these great people. I'm much happier to do that than just try and go in for a close, as there's more than enough business out there. There is no shortage of business. I know people think that, but it's not true.
It really speaks to the perspective of the abundance of opportunity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is incredible. But we did a whole episode on networking and what the difference is between meeting people, telling people what you do, and having a working, living network where you have a network that maybe you haven't done business with this person, but you both showed value to each other. And one day, you phone me, Rob, and you're like, hey, I'm looking for this. And I go, hey, I've got a guy, and I can physically phone him, not like connect you, like physically phone him and say, hey, this guy needs this. Can you hook him up? Done. That's a working network. And has that guy bought a podcast for me? No. But guess what? We've stayed in contact. We've showed some value to each other, and we built that rapport. And yes, it's a long game, but man, is it ever effective? And what's missing and I'm a huge believer in LinkedIn. The majority of what I would say our success in in guests and conversations has been LinkedIn, 100%. But what drives me nuts on LinkedIn is you connect with somebody and immediately within 2 seconds, you get a message of them offering their service if you ever need it. And I'm like, I don't give a crap. I do not care about what you do. I connected with you and I want to know you and I want you to know about me. And your message killed that 100%. So I'm not opposed to messaging, but I do not like the pitchy, automated, and people thinking that that's a true connection, because I don't believe it is. I'm a huge people person. That's my jam with me and Devin is people. And so it really kills me when people are just viewed as targets, because that's the worst way to land a long-term customer.
Oh no, I totally agree. Even now, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn, my first outreach after we've connected is usually, I say, I ask this question of everybody just to break the ice. What awesomeness are you creating in the world today? And some people will come back to me and go, man, that's a great question. Nobody ever asked me that. And some people will come back and go, oh, you're just trying to sell me something. Like, how is that trying to sell you something? But there are those people. But yeah, exactly. It's like, get to know people. It's, I've had so many conversations just recently where people are like, they start off trying to sell me something, realize I don't actually need what they want, but they actually need what I'm doing. And then I'll turn it around and say, okay, how do we take what you're doing and position that to some of our clients? Because I don't need your services, but some of my clients do. And I don't want to provide that service to them. I would rather partner with you. And if people actually took the time to get to know each other better, there would be way more deals like that. So yeah, I agree 100%, Mitch. Like,
what you're alluding to is the fundamentals, the really key pieces of it. And something that we've talked about before, you and I, was there are a ton of tools.
Yeah.
And we often, as the users of those tools, confuse our success with relating to that specific tool. So for example, if I'm using Salesforce as my CRM, it's Salesforce that is getting me my clients. When in reality, it's all the things I do that are being tracked in Salesforce that are bringing me clients. And so I think that is a big part of the work that you do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, and there's good examples, like not too long ago, maybe 6 months, a year, I'm not sure exactly, but Facebook completely changed their marketing algorithm. So the things you used to be able to do on Facebook, you can't do anymore.
No.
Companies are going out of business, like the 2 Comma Club guys. And I didn't actually know what that was. I had to ask somebody, what is a 2 Comma Club? Because everyone keeps saying this. Okay, I know it now, but yeah, they're going out of business because their model changed. They were selling Facebook as the only way to build a business. They're out of business. Whereas, when I come in and I say, okay, so even if we're doing automated, and there's a way to do automated outreach and there's a way not to do it.
Yeah.
But if you're
discuss that in a minute.
Yeah. If you're doing and you're building relationship, it doesn't matter what tool you're using. It's the content that's important. It's the intention behind it. So you can use any piece of tech to do that. And, but yeah, the secret is, are you building that relationship? Are you adding value? And, like a lot of times people say, man, why do you give away free coaching? People can book a 30-minute coffee meeting with me and I'm happy to coach. I'm not going to build a funnel for 30 minutes, but I'm happy to answer their questions. And, you want to start my morning off with a couple of tough questions and we'll have a coffee together? All for it.
This is really cool, actually, because there's a lot of talk about building value, giving value, creating value, all that other stuff, but it's such an esoteric term. Even myself, being that I've been in marketing for a decade, I'm no master of this, but one of the things that I do know is that because it's such an esoteric topic, a lot of people have a hard time putting their finger on exactly what that looks like. And I think you alluded a little bit to it, or why do you do free coffee meetings? Well, for you, is there a way that you can define creating and building value with people?
Yeah. So absolutely. And Actually, I've got two answers to that. So, one was a video we put out recently in our group, and we said, okay, despite what every guru tells you, when you're creating a video for somebody, give away some of your best content. I'm like, but everyone says, don't do that. I said, no, do that. Why would somebody sign up for you if you're not helping them? Prove you can help people by helping them. Then they'll sign up with you. And the other for me, it creating value for them is, well, what's your biggest challenge right now? How can I help you? And it's usually like it's amazing because a lot of times I will spend about 5% of the conversation talking. They will spend 95. They'll get off the call and go, man, that was so amazing. Thank you so much.
I've been in the wake of that myself, so I can attest to it 100%.
Absolutely. That's all I did is go, yeah, no, that's a really good idea. Did you think about this, this, and this? But go, no. Hey, try that. Oh man, thank you. And one of the things we did recently, and this was a little insane. Even I thought this was insane. But my business partner said, we've got a $10,000 introductory program. Let's give it away for free. I'm like, what? I said, no, seriously, if we want people to make money and be able to afford some of our programs, let's help them make money right now. I'm like, okay. So we started giving it away. And at first people were very skeptical, but as it went on, we've got like 65 people going through it now going, oh my God, I've learned more in your free program than I have in $15,000 programs. And we're going, great. We've got another program coming up. It's a ridiculously stupid low price again. But this one, we are charging you. And they're like, okay, we're in. I haven't even told you what it is yet. Doesn't matter. We're in.
Because you've already created that value with them.
Absolutely. We've helped them get to their $10,000 a month. They've got the money now. They can start investing in what they need to get to the next level.
This harkens to, as far as like giving something away. And no matter what you're doing, like I've tried really hard to find ideas that nobody has done in some form already. And like, I use the automotive industry, for example.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what car
automotive industry. So.
You can buy a car. And is Toyota the only car that you can buy? Or is Ford the only car you can buy? So no, but who do you buy from? You buy from who you trust. There's other cars out there. And so they've done something to gain that loyalty. And I think if you are so scared to give something away for free, that tells you that you don't have a relationship with your customers. Because if you give it away for free, they're going to come back to you. And I think people are so scared to let that go. And I, using podcasts as an example, this is in a sense free content for people. And so when they watch it, I could say, hey, no, we're going to keep this in a course that you got to pay for. But if they watch, guess who they're going to come to for anything that we talk about? They're going to come to us. Even though someone else might have the same information, they're going to come to us. There's a million white shirts out there. Who do you buy from? You buy from who you trust. Yeah. And that trust had to be built somewhere. So it's not about the t-shirt. It's not about the car. It's not about the podcast. It's about who you're buying it from. And that's where I think it kind of stems back to the beginning of the conversation. How do you build that trust and that relationship?
Yeah. Well, and one of the things we do, and we just, as I said, we recorded a video on this recently. So when we build funnels, they're video-based funnels. So we actually train the heck out of people as they're going through and being converted. So one of the ones we did is we said, give away your best content. Because it's probably not your best content because you're always learning. The other is if you only have enough content to fill 4 videos and you're afraid to give it away, the problem is not lead generation. The problem is you don't know what you're doing. Because if you really know what you're doing, you should be able to create more than 4 videos on your content.
Right.
And people went, that's true. And they started doing it. And like, I'm not talking theoretically here. When I was with another company before this, we had over 500 clients go through this same process. And they're like, we didn't think this was going to work. Oh my God, we've tripled our company. We've quadrupled our company. And they do it year after year. And we're like, yeah, give away some of your best content because that's what gets people to say, these guys know what they're talking about. I want to work with them.
It's the necessity to, first of all, establish some level of authority on the subject or the topic or the thing or the service, the product, whatever it is. But more than that, I think it serves as proof, because a lot of our decision making when it comes to buying, especially products and services, is, well, what evidence do I have to support the belief that this is going to solve the problem that I have? And where you come from, Rob, it sounds like, here, take this one specific strategy, implement it, break that glass ceiling that you had before. Now, instead of making 3K sporadically, every so and, wherever, do that consistently, make $10,000 a month. Now you're put into a position where, okay, that strategy is working, but you're going to want to level up. And the next thing that you need to do to level up, or the next logical step, is going to be this thing. Well, this thing's actually going to require a little more from us, which is why there's a price point on it. And that's an investment that you're going to have to make. But once you make that investment, you're going to break through your next glass ceiling. And so this becomes proof to them that what you do works, and gives them the opportunity now to invest in you so that they can grow their business more intentionally and do all the things that they're meant to do with all the goals that they've set out and all that other stuff, freedom of time and financial independence and everything else. But one thing that I think is really, really important to point out here, and I'd love to get your perspective on this, the information alone isn't going to be enough. It's not about the information. I could tell you exactly how to start and build a business and marketing and all that other stuff. But the other 99% of it is the execution of it. And so how does that play a role in your relationship building process with your clients?
Yeah, so that's a great point. And you're bang on, because there are a lot of people, like, if you could learn everything from a book, and I say this tongue in cheek because I have a lot of books.
Yeah.
But if you could learn everything from a book, nobody would ever hire you as a coach. You can't. It is about the implementation. It is about that. So even when we gave away our free course, it was hands-on. It was like, here's your homework. And by the way, don't come to the next class without having your homework done. And people are like, man, you give that away for free? Yeah. Why? Because it's helping people make money, and now they can come back and afford the courses, where we go, okay, you know what? It's 65 hours of our time. You got to pay for that.
Yeah.
That you don't get for free.
Well, that's creating your own clients. Like, that's what I think is genius about this, right? You're creating better qualified clients. You're taking a group of people that you would love to work with, but it's just not viable for them or you. And you're building them up so that you can guarantee high revenue clients. You're just doing that. You're just prolonging that process. I've seen this done in other aspects, not necessarily business related, but like here in Calgary, there's a guy that he runs a rec hockey league. He didn't have enough people. So what he did was, on Sundays, created a game for people that don't know how to play hockey. And he made them play together, and he farms beginners. And when they get good enough, he puts them in his midweek games. And I'm like, he's literally creating his own income, because he makes a living off, like, that's his full-time job. He's an organizer. So in business, if you can, what makes more sense than creating your own customers, not finding them, creating them? And I think that's a great example of just an ingenious way of making revenue.
Yeah. Well, thank you. The other thing too about that is, it's not just, so there's two aspects. One, there's creating enough revenue they can afford to pay for programs. There's also, if they're not going to do the work when it's free and given to them and handed to them, and you walk them through it step by step, holding their hand, you probably don't want them in your advanced course.
But do you find
it disrupts everybody?
We've talked about this before, though. Do you find that because it's free, people take it less seriously? Usually people take ownership even if they pay $1 for something.
You know what? I was of that mindset, and that's how I was trained. You got to charge them something. You got to. So we don't charge them money. We charge them a testimonial video. Okay. So you have to give us a testimony, or you don't get the final training. And people go, that's it? I got to give you a testimony. I said, yeah, but it's got to be heartfelt. It's got to be real. And you got to show us the actual results. Don't tell us, like, one of the things that when I was training with Joel, he said, you can't just get a testimonial where people say, this will make all the difference. I'll make millions next year. No, that's a BS testimonial. It's, I implemented everything I was taught and I made $1 million. And Joel will even turn around and say, show me your tax return. Show me you made $1 million before I put that on my testimonial reel. And so we know what people are doing because we're tracking their stats as they go through these things. Okay, how many calls are you doing? How many conversions are you getting? What are your sales like? And so we'll know people are actually implementing. And, a lot of people said, like, this is intense for a free program, to your point. And not everyone goes through all the way to the end. The ones that do are making money. And we've got testimonials in our group going, I can't believe what you taught us this week. And here's what happened as a result of that. So it's like we're building real testimonials, not like those ones where, you get those, hey, I can get you free testimonials. Just send us so much money. And
that's not helping.
Yeah, these are real testimonials from people. And they're like, when's your next course coming out? Because I want to sign up for that. But yeah, to your point, there is challenges with that. So we do make them jump through a few hoops before we just accept them. But it is free.
You still qualify candidates to get the free course. It's not just like this open door policy and you hope that some of it sticks.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other reason for that is some people are just not ethical. And we're not going to teach you how to market effectively if you're not ethical. Because this stuff will make people do things. And if you don't have the right intentions, if you don't have the right heart space, we're not teaching you. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So when you qualify people, I mean, even to get to that point, you've obviously kind of got them in hooked, right? To a degree. So is that more of a cold outreach program that you have specifically to fill that free course? Or is that just something you offer and kind of when it fills organically and you focus on other things of your business?
So a lot of that is like, we do a lot through our Facebook group now. So, people come in, that's cold outreach. People come in, we look at their interaction, we offer the course. When they sign up, we actually interview people. And it does take a little more time, but again, it's like Joel said, what I'm teaching you will cause people to do things. Don't ever teach a douchebag. And you have to sign an agreement saying, we will never teach a douchebag. But it's very, very much the same. It's like we get to know people through our interactions, through our conversations. And yeah, we do make them fill out a form. And then we follow up with an interview and say, okay, you are getting it for free, but not everyone gets it.
And this is so interesting too, because one of the main principles of marketing, if anybody knows anything about it, is creating some level of scarcity, inside of the opportunity that you're providing, so that it perceivably increases its value. But I get a sense that you're not using that as a tactic. This is more of a genuine attempt to create a level of security or protection around the execution of it. And just the nerd of me is shout out Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility. How much does that bear on your decision-making process?
Actually quite a bit. I've been in all those trainings where they say greed and urgency. You got to sign up now or else the price is going up tomorrow. And one of the things another mentor of mine, Jim Sheed, taught me was, he'd get at the front of the room and he'd say, this is the price today. The price tomorrow? Same price. The price next week? Same price. Now, the class may be full, but we're not putting the price up. You do not have to buy now. But understand, when you go to buy, if the class is full, you got to wait till we start the next class. Whereas, a lot of people say, well, the price is going up. It's doubling tonight. It's doubling tomorrow. And if you actually look at any of those guys, so like if you track them long enough, and I've been, gathering the various emails and the various offers for like 27 years now. So I watch them and they'll go, okay, this is the price. It's going up tomorrow. The next month they'll run the same thing. it's the same price. It hasn't gone. Yeah.
Or you just delete the cookies on your browser, and that one little thing that they embedded that automatically increases the price, it just goes away. Or that countdown timer. Aaron Fletcher, he was actually one of the mentors that I've had, and he very directly addressed this idea of creating fake scarcity. And it's not so much about creating fake scarcity as much as it is just limiting the opportunity for who can be involved in that. And the way that Aaron did it was very similar in terms of like, yeah, I do a group coaching model, and I can only effectively coach 20 people at a time. And if you're not in this round of that 20 people, then you're waiting 3 to 6 months for the next program to open up. And so do you want to wait 3 to 6 months? And if you don't, then now's the time to act. And so I like that part of your model is that ethical way of creating some of those driving forces in that marketing engine. What are some of the other things that you deploy in terms of, obviously we've talked about that value, we've talked about that urgency and scarcity. What are some of the other things that you do to kind of help with that, I guess, influence, as you put it?
I think those are really the big ones. And we're straight up front with people. We'll tell them, hey, we're not going to increase the price, but are going to wait. And there's two reasons for doing that. One is it does create a little bit of the scarcity because get in now or wait. But there's also, we don't want to be overfilling our classes. Like, it's not fair to our students. You can only coach so many people at a time. If you put 100 people into a class, like that's nobody's getting any time. So, we like to cap the classes. When I trained with Joel Bauer, he was the same way. There's only so many people allowed in an advanced course. That's it. You don't get in now, you're waiting 6 months. Price isn't going up, but you are waiting 6 months. And even for the people that don't get in right away, or we'll still continue to feed them micro trainings. We'll email them out once in a while. We'll post them in our group. We'll still train the people. And hopefully in the future, they're in a position where they can move forward. But that's really it. It's like, be constantly training and I've had people. So like originally when you build the video funnel that we do, you shoot 4 videos that are full trainings not full, sorry. They're like 15-minute videos. So you get a training on a piece of something and they'll say, when do you stop? And I'll say, when people sign up. Well, what if that's a year? Well, then we send them a year's worth of videos.
So this is interesting because, okay, I really want to speak to this one. My challenge has always been, okay, I started this business. I only have so much of I'll call it a buffer before I'm homeless.
Right.
So how big do I need to make that buffer in order to have a sustainable business where there's a pipeline of people that are constantly flowing through? And you're talking about something that I think is a bit of a taboo in the world of marketing. There's this we can get you, X ROI on your ad spend in 30 days or less. And really what that is just a ploy to get that first $3,000 to $5,000. Then after that customer's gone because you couldn't get the results. And now you just have a revolving door of customers. Whereas for you're saying if it takes a year to turn somebody from prospect to client, that's okay. Be patient enough to spend that time. And so how do you make that determination in the work that you're doing?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. Especially, like a lot of guys starting out, they need to make money quickly.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I would say is sign up for a free training because it's still free until tomorrow. It's a $10,000 program. It'll tell you how to set up your business and start making money. But no, realistically, we looked at it. We took sort of a long-term stance on this. I've been doing this a long time. My business partners have been doing this a long time. I'm kind of closer. I'm a lot closer to retirement than they are. But I'm sort of looking at, I want to spend the next 10 years building something that's going to pay me the rest of my life. That's sort of my look at it. Whereas a lot of people are like, I want to make a lot of money in the next 3 months. maybe not so sustainable.
I call that the supernova effect. The faster and hotter it burns, the quicker it burns out.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, when we really sit down with people, like if people sign up for our big Infinite Growth Academy, the first thing we do is sit down and go, okay, let's look at your budget. Like, how much money do you need to be making? What are you really committed to in life? And they're like, well, you mean my business? I'm like, no, man, you have a family? Like, so many people sacrifice their family to build the business, claiming they're building a business to support their family. Like, that is not the way to build a business. Build a business, it's of course the lifestyle you want. So you need to know the lifestyle you want. And then we look at, okay, so how much money do you really need to make? What do you offer? What are you selling? What's your price points? Okay, so how many clients do you really need to get on a monthly basis? How many leads do you need to get in order to sell that many clients? Okay, now let's go to work. And a lot of people will find, unlike the appointment centers, will say, hey, we'll get you 150 sales appointments a week. And I'm like, why would I ever meet with 150 people?
How is that even possible?
Yeah, I want 2 a week. They're like, what? That's it? Yeah, because that's enough. So it's figuring all that out and then sort of engineering it to like, okay, so how do we run that? And in a lot of times, and my partners will say, Rob, you're just anti-paid ads. I'm not anti-paid ads. I'm just don't start with paid ads because they cost money. And when I started, so some of my businesses, we just didn't have money. So I'm like, here's how you do it organically. I'm like, that takes longer. It does, but you're not coaching. So what else are you doing with your time? You might as well be doing marketing.
Right.
And then it's, okay, here's how I start. Here's how I do it organically. Here's how I do it without any tools. Now, are there ways to automate what I'm currently doing in the way I'm doing it that still has the impact? Then you start adding in tools. Then when you start making money, sure, paid ads are great. They're great for scaling. They're horrible for startup.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah. Unless you got lots of money, they're horrible for startup. Whereas, like you reach out, you guys are both, Mitch, I don't know you as well, but Devin, like we've had conversations, like you're very personable. You're a guy who should be reaching out more to people. And it's like, by all means, like jump into our group and I'll introduce you as, the podcast guy. And like, you want to be on a podcast, this is the guy you got to talk to. Start having conversations with those people.
Yeah, that's, it's funny because me and Mitch have been talking about our own business and what the next steps are and what our product offering is and how do we take that to the next level. And one of the things that we both really advocate for is anti-automation in the world of like making it robotic in the numbers game. But we are pro using tools effectively to create those genuine interactions. And so being able to invite CEOs and top level executives onto a podcast to have a conversation, even though we might have a relatively limited audience at this point in time, that evergreen and ongoing content, it creates a little bit of value, but it also allows us the opportunity to have genuine conversations with people that are both engaging and packed full of information and knowledge and things that can help serve the people that we hope to serve. So I love that is kind of the pillar to the way that you do business.
Yeah. And I'll give you an example. So a friend of mine was doing a podcast probably 4 or 5 years ago. And he said, Rob, I'm looking for guests. Who do you know? Like, tell me about your podcast. Who do you serve? What's your audience? And he told me, and I went, okay, I'm going to send you some intros. He calls me like 3 days later and goes, dude, you should book 50 people on my show for the next year. Yeah, he told me he wanted people.
Isn't that what you asked for?
No. I'm like, I know a lot. and these were not like small players. These were like, Dan Locke and guys like that. And he goes, all these guys? I'm like, I know all these guys. I used to produce events. I know all of these guys. Who do you want on your show? And same, like I like you guys. You guys are cool. I actually went through and watched a bunch of your shows.
Oh, thank you.
And went, hey, let's check out what are these guys doing. And I looked and I went, man, you need way more viewers. How do we get you more viewers? Let me give that some thought. And then I'm like, how do we get you bigger people that are going to get more viewers? And there are people that are going to say, well, how many viewers do you have? Because I don't want to be on your show if you don't have enough.
We've run into that.
Yeah. And I ran into that when I was doing events as well. But like, it's a different if you say you should be on this show, or I say, hey, you should be on their show. Because I've worked with a lot of these guys, and I can say, hey, listen, you should be on this show. They don't have a huge following now. We're going to fix that. And it's evergreen. It's another term that Joel uses a lot. Man, video has a shelf life of forever.
That's what I love. And I don't think people realize the power of podcast content, because, podcasting, you have an hour of content, but that hour can be clipped out. And once it's on all the platforms, once it's on YouTube, once it's out, like it's out there forever. And I've run into videos that are 10 years old. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is great, for me. And that person's not even doing it anymore. And I totally agree. And I hope that, you going through the content, you saw that, hey, you know what, whether it's guests or whether it's these guys' rants, there's some value to this content, and it will catch one day if it's put into the right program. And part of this show is we're proving organic growth versus shows that, Devin has produced that have, an investment behind them. And we're doing a comparison, and we're seeing like what is happening. Now, yes, the growth is slower organically, like the view count is slower. You can't really argue that. But what we've seen is our guest acquisition, our referrals, our reaction, people's engagement has been such high level that you can't pay for that. It has to happen. And that's why we're really liking this organic long-term goal that we have with the show. So I do appreciate the feedback there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, one other point on top of that is like, so it's like web pages. You can get 1 million people going to your web pages, but if nobody converts, it doesn't matter. So some of these people have huge counts, like view counts, but nothing ever happened after that. Whereas like, I look at some of yours and go, okay, you don't have a ton of viewers yet. But I look at some of your guests and go, I'd like to know that guy. All right. Make a note of that. All right, Devin, I want to be introduced to this guy because he's cool.
Yeah.
You have some really cool people. And you don't have the stereotypical, oh yeah, we're going to teach you how to run Facebook ads, and you're going to make a lot of money. And we're coaches, and we do $1 million a year, and we're awesome, and we're great, and just ask us how good we are. Like, how are your clients doing?
Yeah, that talking head thing. It really is. And this is maybe even an important distinction to make for people, because it's not necessarily about how many views you get on the content that you put out there. What matters is the opportunities that content creates. Because all it takes is for one person to see the thing that you're saying and go, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to give this guy a try. He seems like a genuine, authentic person. Let's go for it. Beyond that, though, what's really cool and what me and Mitch have found is being able to connect with somebody like you, Rob. You have a tremendous amount of value. And if we can share that with the world, like on your behalf, that's an incredible privilege. But also the opportunities now, like you said, to work with you in a joint venture capacity, that's priceless. That's something we would have never had it not been for that one time on Facebook where I saw you post a very poignant thing. And I was like, hey, Rob, that would be a great topic to discuss on a podcast. Right? So it's about the value that's created outside of just those metrics and numbers and vanity things of like how cool you look online. It's about connections. It's about that authentic relationship that you build with people and going deep with them rather than, like you said, 1 million views or going wide. It's not necessarily always the best thing. I see advertisements all the time. We'll build you a top 10 podcast in 90 days or less, which I know to be almost nearly impossible without some kind of gray hat or black hat strategy. But what's the point? Why do you need a top 10 podcast?
Yeah, it's back in the day when I was producing events, we had our own radio show on, I forget what it was. It was, like the platform sort of before podcasting. It's one of those syndicated radio thingies. and we did that. And we always had our speakers who were going to be on there come up, and we did a radio show, and we get, like 10,000 people following. We didn't put 10,000 people in a room based on it. We said 10,000 people listening to our show. So at the end of the day, it didn't actually convert.
Right.
Even though we had a lot of people. Whereas I think, nowadays people are far more discerning. So when they see certain guests, I saw one the other day, and it was one of my mentors was on another podcast, and they only had I think 50 views. And I went, oh my God, that's disgusting. That's an amazing person. More people should be watching this. And so I started blasting it out on social media.
It's
you guys got to be watching this.
It's such an interesting topic because we've talked about this, and one of the guests we've had, he's been on twice, and I think personally, and I'm pretty sure Devin backs this too, is anyone who owns a business should be following this guy. He's from Australia. His name's Kobe Simmet, and his story and what he's doing right now is probably the most impressive thing I have ever come across, and probably will ever come across. I have so much respect for him and his input, and he has helped us incredibly. And even just not even on the episodes, but just staying in touch with us, keeping track of us. Like the guy has invested time in us that we never expected. And honestly, how we connected with him, I saw some content on LinkedIn and I was like, I like that guy. And I reached out to him and I messaged him and I said, would you be interested in coming on the show? Like, I love your content and I think you bring a ton of value. He booked on the show. Then we realized who he was, what he had. And we were like, I can't believe this guy said yes. Because I call him the Gary Vaynerchuk of Australia. Like literally that's what he is. And so I promote him like crazy. I'm like his unofficial spokesperson, but that's the value of what the podcast did in that situation was because of what I was doing, it gave us the opportunity to connect with him. I never would have reached out to him if it wasn't for the podcast. But now that I did, he's a part of our working network. We're in communication with him and we get to benefit from all his insight and advice for life because he's a part of us now. And I think that to be able to do that more and more and more, and the more you do, the more you build that, it's not that Kobe's the only person we're going to work with or that we're going to be influenced from. There's a ton of guests that we've seen that type of value from.
Yeah. So one thing I think you guys really should do is take, you're recording the video, but, slice and dice it. So it's like a snippet of, here's some value add, put your logo on it or your show on it. I'll put it all over my social media.
That's funny you should say that. That's actually part of the model. And we are on platforms with that stuff, but it's similar issue, right? Trying to get people to connect with it and watch it. And that's always the challenge is that you're at the discretion of the algorithm and without, some kind of kickstart, like, monetary investment into that audience building, it does tend to sometimes go stagnant. And so that's a bit of an issue, but not something to deter us from continuing down that path, just because, like you just said, the value of it and the opportunity that's there is really powerful if you leverage it properly, right? So what I think is, Rob, we've taken a lot of your time here for this episode, and I can't express to you how much gratitude we have for your generosity here. I want to be able to, in this show, I want to be able to push people or point people in the direction of you because of the wealth of knowledge you have. I know we probably won't be able to get this out before tomorrow because you have that new program launching. But if there's, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, to reach you, or to engage with you in some way if they found some value in this show?
So I mean, there's two ways that are ideal. One is Robert Provenzano on Facebook, or Rob Provenzano on LinkedIn. I could send you links, but I don't have them ready to go.
I'll make sure that we include them in the show notes so that won't be an issue for people. You just look around the description somewhere here and we'll make sure we'll link back to you.